believe, and I understand you've written to the Prime Minister so far, have you received any response? And do you believe that linking of bank accounts will further the risk to national security?
Well, first of all, I did write, and Prime Minister acknowledges it, but that I know that then he sends it for further action. I don't expect the Prime Minister to take a call himself. He sends it to his own secretariat, the Prime Minister's office, for the processing, and then when the results come, I get to know that some action has been taken. So my job is only to bring it to the Prime Minister's notice, and then thereafter it is the Prime Minister's call, and he has to decide, because as they say in American language, the buck stops with him, so therefore he has to take the call. The question basically is who's doing the software for it. It's a massive data processing. This was the same problem with GST, and I was proven right on that also. The massive data processing is presently being handled by companies which are private companies and not any Indian companies. And it was not something which our government started. It was started in the UPA period by Nilankarni, and it was that time called UID or whatever. So there has been a fair amount of publications on this to show that the antecedents of the company which are doing the software for Aadhar are doubtful in nature, and this needs to be a hard look has to be taken whether national security is being compromised by it. According to me, prima facie, it appears to me that these companies should not be given access to all this data, because it can lead any time to what is called as identity theft. That is, any Indian citizen could be implicated in anything once this data is made available to people who are not authorized to have it.
Dr. Swamy, we also know that the contracts that were signed by the government back in 2010 with several American companies and one French company actually stipulates that they can continue to have access to data for 7 years after that contract was signed. So that would effectively expire this year, which means that there are agencies overseas that still have access to all of the data and the data that has been linked to that data. So in your opinion, do you believe that now our bank account details, our mobile numbers, our PAN card, income tax filing, all of that may have been compromised as well?
Well, that's a risk which the Prime Minister has to satisfy has not happened. In fact, you see, I don't know why people duck below the radar of the PMO in these matters. Even in the GST, the GSTN, there was no security clearance taken from the Home Ministry. It's only after I raised it that the Prime Minister ordered that there should be a security clearance done. That has not been yet completed, incidentally. Here too, I think there's been no security clearance obtained from the Ministry of Home Affairs on this matter. And as I told you, more than having access to your bank accounts and your iris in your eye or your thumbprints or whatever, it's the most dangerous part is the identity theft. And in a war-like situation where disinformation is a very important tool for fighting war, this can be misused against India.
Mr. Swamy, Julian Assange of WikiLeaks had also at one point made a comment saying that they had gotten access to our Aadhar details and it is not a very secure database. At that point, they were members of the government who rubbished that claim and said that it's a completely baseless. Do you think now, in retrospect, that maybe it merited an investigation in the very least?
Well, I've this morning received an email from him. I'm not in touch with him. He's neither my follower nor I'm his follower. But I did get a tweet in which he gave me where the link to the CIA having access is there. I'm studying it, and once I come to make up my mind, I will forward it to the Prime Minister for looking at it. The previous government was sold out on this, and I'm not surprised that they would defend it. But there's no need for us to carry that burden forward. And a good second look for cyber warfare, identity theft, and so on. Prime Minister needs to have a team in his PMO which should be full-time devoted to this kind of security risks. Yes, I think prima facie Sanjay has been proved to be right.
And my question to you right now is the hurry with which the government is linking bank accounts and mobile numbers and PAN cards. We understand, railway tickets at this point, airline tickets are asking for Aadhar cards, CBSE is asking for Aadhar numbers for, before children take the exams this year. Should we perhaps step back and first investigate your concerns before we risk any more data? Why is the government in such a hurry to make more links and risk more data without foolproofing the system at hand?
Well, you see, this is a situation where government is damned if it does and damned if it doesn't. In the sense, if you go slow, then they say, oh, big talk, and they said they will do this, they will digitize everything, and nothing is happening. That criticism will also come. And when you move fast, then this is there. Actually, what happens is that these are all highly technical subjects. And the Prime Minister or the ministers have to rely on the inputs they get. And if you have essentially a dishonest man like Nilankan, he will bluff you. Therefore, the government could be misled into thinking that's all safe, and that's why they have been reiterating in Parliament and in television interviews that it's all safe. They cannot say that from personal knowledge because they are not technically qualified on that. But they have to rely on people whom they have designated for this purpose, and they may mislead them. I don't know. But I am quite been saying that from beginning, that this is not worth the risk. Even if it is safe, the risk element is there, and that risk, even however microscopic, is not worth the risk.
Swamy, we do have, an IT ministry, we have a telecom ministry, we have a law ministry, all of which should be, which should have the ability to understand the technicalities of Aadhar, because we are, as far as, information technology is concerned, at the forefront worldwide. Could that possibly be used as an excuse by any government that, we were being blocked by one person with malicious intention? The government should have the ability to know what it's mandating and to understand the risks it's taking on.
That's easier said. When you're in government, I've been a minister twice. You are dealing with a whole lot of complex issues. This is not the only issue. And it's also a question of focus. I mean, so far we have been gaga about mobile phones and telephone towers and data processing. But cyber warfare is an area where even the Americans are having problems with the North Koreans who are at will interfering with shutting down cinema theaters and so on. So it's a thing that needs attention, no question about it. But I would say that we have been at this only for the last three and a half years. Basically, there has been this tradition to disregard national security for a long time, and we are faced with that kind of a hangover disease.
So, if I'm not mistaken, what you're saying, Dr. Swamy, is that Aadhar is fundamentally a national security risk, and the reason why the government is not more aware of this risk is because they're perhaps being led astray by Mr. Nandan Nilekani. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, he's the fountainhead of it. He's, after all, been the one who's been pushing it. I can tell you what surprised me is that when Nilankan was standing as a candidate for the Congress party in Bangalore, Mr. Anand Kumar and Mr. Chandrasekhar of our party, and Anand Kumar was the candidate, they urged me to come and campaign against Mr. Nilankan. And that time is the one I really did, I did set aside one full week and studied the whole thing and came and explained to the people. And he lost badly.